Hi campaigners, welcome back to Campaign Terrain. I'm your host, That Guy Cross, and tonight it's going to be a little boring because I'm just here to talk about me. I'm going to try to make this quick, but this is my 26th week in a row. This is my 6-month half-anniversary, I guess, and when I first started, I just came on and started talking about stuff. Never talked about why it matters that I build stuff. So tonight, I'm going to tell you about me, and I'm going to ask you for a few favors. So, stick around after the bump, and I'll get into it. Okay, I'm going to run through about 6 or 7 topics here tonight, just to let you know a little bit about me, and let you know where I'm planning on taking the channel over the next 6 months, 6 years, who knows. So, let me get to that. Now, I will tell you, I'm cheating. I have a little checklist here, so we're going to go through it. And I'm a big list guy. That's how I keep track of what I'm building, what I need to be building with, etc. It's why I always at the beginning of my videos start with items you'll need, that sort of thing. So, I have been a wargamer since 1978. My older brothers got me into it, and we used to play the Avalon Hill games, which had little cardboard rectangles to represent tanks and half-tracks and whichever, and little cardboard squares to represent troop groups, like platoons and such. But I got into tabletop role-playing, like Dungeons & Dragons originally, and Tunnels and Trolls and all of those, like a year later, like 1979. My sister and some of her friends got me into that. So anybody who tells you there's no such thing as girl geeks, they're wrong, because the first people who got me into this was a group of like 5 or 6 girls. So I've been a gamer since then. I've been a tabletop prop set crafting guy since less than 6 months after that, probably less than a month after that. We were playing with pencil and paper, and something in my head said, that's not going to work. So at first, I used cardboard, made little rooms, shoe boxes. I also used some of my sister's doll furniture, and then I created some that was similar out of little pieces of balsa wood. And I have been crafting gaming terrain ever since. So when I say this is campaign terrain, I mean for both your wargaming campaigns, if you're taking over, the Eastern Front, or your tabletop role-playing campaign, if you just mean a campaign of you build up through 6 or 7 bads until you get to the big bad and take him out and save the kingdom. So, whatever your game is, if it's played on a tabletop and it lasts for turns and turns and turns, or years and years and years, that's how you build terrain for. Campaign terrain. That's where the name came from. Why do you care? Well, I have been in theater, construction, and cosplay and LARP since the very early 80s. I was in construction for 15 years. I worked with theater arts through all of high school and much of college, and built sets, built costumes. I never really was an actor. I always did everything behind the scenes. But that and the construction, and then taking both that into LARP, to where I made costumes and I made padded weapons out of some of the same foams that we use for this, to the costuming, all of that. That's where my background comes from. I have tons of influences, so stay tuned and you'll find something new that you haven't heard of, because I'll pull something out of construction that helps with building terrain, or something similar. A lot of the materials I use in this are the same things I used in LARP and cosplay. I've got lots of hacks, lots of things where if you tweak it just this one way, it makes it a little easier to do or a little faster to do. I'm really good with finding the cheap solutions to things. That's one of my big things. And I have a lot of creativity. I just have seen a lot of stuff, and so I can dredge a lot of things out, but I'm really good at taking things I've seen different places and putting it all together. So I'm really good with that. And I hope that comes across that way. I want others to craft. It has been so much fun for so long, and I will never tire of it. And I hope to get that joy across to people. I hope to inspire people who have been going, I'd like to do that, but I don't know if I can. Yes, you can. You can. I want to spark creativity, like I said. If I come up with I'll show it from the other way around. I watch a lot of videos, and every once in a while I'm like, holy cow, that'll work. And it may not even be a crafting video. It may be somebody's quilting video, or somebody making a candle, or somebody doing a resin pour to make jewelry. Something that has nothing to do with role-playing at all. And I'm like, that technique will work. So, creativity, confidence. Confidence is the big one. I want you, if this is your thing and you're thinking of trying it, do it. Please. I want to encourage that. Most people just never start. If you take two pieces of cardboard together and tape them together in a V and say those are two walls and you're stuck in a corner, you've already done more than most people. To quote Magneto, if you do that one little step, you are God amongst insects, and never let anyone tell you different. So, step out of that comfort zone. Step into something that's going to be fun for you. All right. What's my style when I'm building all this stuff? I've got about 6 or 7 things that I stick with on a regular basis. Quick. I want it to be on the table. May not seem like it from some of my builds, but I'm building for video. I'm not really building for putting it on the table. Simple. It has to be really straightforward. A to B to C to D, and you got the finished piece. Simple. Easy. Not the same as simple. Simple is straightforward and you see the process. Easy is the process is then not difficult. So I tried to go for both of those. Cheap. Cheap is good. We like cheap. Cardboard, tape, glue, dollar store this, dollar store that, dollar store the other thing. Everything. I've got so many pieces from the dollar store. I've actually got an episode I want to be working on things you can get for cheap from the dollar store that help with this. Elegant. Elegant does not mean fine or refined or perfect or pretty. Elegant means you have an elegant way of getting it onto the table. You have an elegant way of getting it to the costume show. You have an elegant way of getting it onto the dinner table. Whatever works for you. Elegance is make it easier and easier over time, so you can just suddenly spread it out before people. If people come over to game at your house and you've been working on this stuff, you can elegantly build things. This could be a whole temple, this could be a castle, this could be anything, and this is just like 8 pieces of fluff that I've stuck together. Now each one took a little bit to build, but once you have them over and over again, and you can just be that life of the party because you can set the stuff out elegantly. Good enough. That's a big one. Good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be functional enough. We're going for extra immersion. If you just have paper and pencil on a table, and some people do not work well with that. Some people work fine with it. I'm okay with it, but I prefer terrain. But some people can't get their head around it. They're like, well, how far away is he? How close am I? How far do I have to jump? How far do I have to climb? Can I climb that far? All you're needing is a representation showing the general arrangement of things. So it only has to be good enough. The other word for that is table ready. It has to be ready to be put on the table. Table, depending on who you ask, is at 2 feet distance, at 3 feet distance. When you're walking up to the table, it makes you go, ooh, whatever. It looks good on the table. It does not have to look brilliant. For any of you who have ever done any theater, you'll see the sets and they look great. And there's these walls around behind the room, and there's chandeliers and there's second floors and all that. But behind those walls, those are just made of fabric on a wooden frame. They look great from the one viewpoint, and that's all you're needing. Okay, I'm going to take a breather. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about goals in the future. I'm back, and let's talk about some goals. We're going to talk about short-term goals, long-term goals, what I need, and what you need. So, short-term goals. I plan on shortening videos. This is maybe an exception, but I am hoping that from now on they will be much shorter. For example, last week I made a dais, I made an altar, and I made standing stones and put them all together. That could have been 3 videos. That could have been a very short dais video, standing stone video, and altar video. And so I'm going to be breaking things up into multi-part things where I need to. I'm going to be trying to keep each video a little bit shorter. I'm going to be trying to be more informational. Where to get parts, exactly what paints I'm using, chemicals that I mix, and how I use them. I'm going to have more epic builds, big things like whole temples and ziggurats and bigger mountains and hills and a cave entrance for like a mine system. Bigger pieces like that. So I'm going to be having more epic builds. I'm going to be having less music in my vids. I know that sometimes they're a little bit noisy and you hear over me. If I have it, it's going to be even more subtle. I'm going to have it tuned down. Some of them I'm not going to have video and music in at all unless it's just where I'm building with my hands and I'm not speaking. During those points I'll have music to keep you from being bored and just listening to my knife slide across the thing. Different music. Let me know what you like. I've been listening. I've had like the sort of techno beats going on. That's just what I started with, and it's been easier than finding new ones. So they're going to continue for a while until I find some other things, but I'm going to be going for some more fantasy sounding, stuff that sounds like it'd be in the background in a Lord of the Rings or, swashbuckling movie, that sort of thing. Short term, but this is the part where, and I hate to talk about it, but I am not going to be able to continue doing this without some monetization. I know people don't like to talk about money, but I'm going to tell you. So in the short term, I'm going to be looking at starting a Patreon. I have no idea how to set the tiers up. I'm going to be working on that, but I'm going to be looking to have a Patreon. I'm also going to have a buymeacoffee.com, I believe. I've looked at some other options that are similar to that. I'm also going to be setting up Amazon links, and you'll start to hear me talk about those. I have not set any of this up yet, but these are all coming. And maybe an Etsy store. That's it for the short term. Let's talk about long-term plans. There is a reason I started off with a 4-digit numbering system. If you notice, I started off with episode 0001. I plan on doing at least 10,000 of these. I plan on topping that sucker out at 9999. I've only got 26. It's going to be a while. I've got a bunch of stuff to build. And when I say a bunch of stuff to build, I mean I have a bunch of stuff to build. Every one of these pages has about 4 different items on it. One top, one bottom of things that I'm going to be building. I've got over 100 ready already, 130, 140 already. So that's at least 140 episodes right there that I could build. And so I have no plans on stopping this. But I got to be able to afford it. And I got to balance time with COVID. When I do work more often outside of the house, I'm going to have less time for these videos. So that's part of the reason I'm making this shorter videos. And also not to bore you to death with them. It would also, where would I like to go with this eventually? I would like to make this my full-time gig. I would like to be able to just simply present new information to you. If I do that, I'll be able to do it more than once a week. And I would also like to be able to give back to others. I'd like to be able to support people's Kickstarters, support people's channels, things like that. And right now, I cannot do that. So that's the long term. What do I need to do that? To do all of this? I need shares. Please, share me with people. Let people know what I'm doing. If you like what I'm doing, share it around. Tell people. Likes, obviously. Like the video. View times. Even if you're not watching the whole thing or whichever, if you can just let it play out, that helps me as well. Subscriptions, obviously subscribe to the channel. Please do that. Please, thank you. Tech, I'm looking at getting better microphone. I have one, but it's not seeming to work for me. I'm going to see if I can't get that working. Thank you, Jay. By the way, if y'all get a chance, go check out Terrain Made Easy. And I'm going to put a link up here in the corner. Terrain Made Easy, because he has helped me out with a microphone, which I'm trying to get to work with my phone, but it's not working right now. My camera I take my pictures with. I'm going to work on better lighting. I'm trying to do that. I think I've got kind of a glare going on right now, but I'm working on it. I've got a bunch of different lights that I'm working with, and I'm trying to make that better. I am looking to get a better PC. I've needed one for a long time anyway, but I'm looking for one so that I can edit these videos more easily. I'm always going to need more art supplies. That's what I'm needing in the long term. Now, here's where it gets to the fun part. What do you need? What do you want? What would you like to see? What would you like to hear about? What would you like to see me try to build? I'm always going to keep mine with tabletop, fantasy, role-playing. It's not going to be specifically for war games, and it's never going to be postmodern or post-apocalyptic or any of that, because that's not my jam. Let me know anything that you're interested in seeing me build along those lines. And you can keep in touch with me in the comments down below. You can talk to me on Twitter. You can talk to me on Facebook. You can talk to me on Snapchat, Imager. I've got a Pinterest page that I never do really anything except post a link back to these videos. And I do have a website called thatguycross.com, which is more me talking than the video production. But to be honest, I haven't done anything on it in a while. But I'm gonna be keeping up with that more often as well. And if that's what you want to see, if you want to see me blog, let me know. So I hope I haven't bored you to death. I hope you've enjoyed this 6-month video thing here. And I'm going to have a little blurb with some music here, and that's it. We're done. So, I love you guys. I would not do this if I did not want to help others in the community. I love you. I am so glad that you're watching. I would be even more glad if you take the leap and make some of this stuff yourself. That would be great. Please let me know if you do. My name is That Guy Cross. This is Campaign Terrain. I hope you're enjoying it, and until next time, I wish you all the luck in your campaign. Thanks, YouTube.